Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Turning Two Tunes. My name is Hannah Martin, and I am your host of the very best country music and baseball talk show around. I've got a really exciting show for you planned today, so buckle up, get ready. We are going to talk about everything baseball playoffs today. There's a lot going on in baseball. Yesterday, we had 2 games, lots of controversy. Yankees and the Astros. We're going to talk interference. We're going to talk the end of the game, what happened there. We're going to talk about Gary Sanchez. My goodness. We are also going to talk about the Dodgers and the Cubs. They also played yesterday, and Joe Madden, the Cubs manager, he got thrown out because he also had a problem with what happened during the game. So we're going to talk. It's going to be really exciting. You know I'm going to trash the Red Sox because they're done in the playoffs. Very sad. I'm sad, but we're gonna talk about it. You can call in today at any point if you want to talk about these things with me. You want to talk about the Cubs, the Yankees, the Red Sox? Hey, you want to talk about the Mariners, the Cougs? Give me a call. To be on the air, the best time to call in is when I'm playing music, so I can get to your call right away because I'm a one-woman show up here. That number, write it down, put it in your cell phone, put it in your brain. I don't care. I'll repeat it lots through the show. 509-335-2207. All right, y'all, we're going to start off the show today with Cassidy Pope's song, This Car. Here we go. All right, y'all, we are back on the air. Longtime listeners, and by long time, I mean in the past, 8 weeks that I've been doing a show, will know that I usually, the first time I play music, I usually only play 3 songs and then I jump back in. But today I played 4. There's a reason. One of my best friends, her name is also Hannah. She is driving right now, and she's a big Packers fan. And Aaron Rodgers, who is a quarterback of the Packers, news just came down that he has a broken collarbone and is out for the foreseeable future. So I had to call and update her on that. So it's very sad. I'm very sad for Hannah and my brother, who is also a Packers fan, and all the Packers fans out there, and everyone who's a fan of football, because Aaron Rodgers is a really great guy, and he makes the sport better. So very sorry to all the football fans out there. But that's why we had the change in schedule there. So my apologies go out to them. We are going to jump into baseball because this is a baseball talk show. We are going to, I'm going to mix it up. I'm not going to talk about the Mariners or the Red Sox first. This has been a crazy weekend. I mean, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. I mean, the Cougs lost, the Huskies lost, Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. It's been a wild weekend. So we're going to mix it up. We're going to talk about the Yankees first today. Usually I talk about the Yankees with my brother Zach in a segment I like to call Hannah Proves Zach Wrong. So Zach, if you're listening, go ahead and give me a call. But we're going to talk about the Yankees because that is I would argue the biggest story in baseball right now. The Astros and the Yankees are currently playing a best-of-7 series in the American League Championship Series there. First 2 games are in Houston. The Yankees are down 0-2. They have lost both games by a score of 2-1. Which is wild because, the Yankees have that, you hear about great bullpen and great offense from the Yankees. And Aaron Judge hasn't done anything. He struck out 16 times in the DS series against Cleveland. He had that one double in game 4 against Cleveland, but he hasn't done anything. But what we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the very last play of the game that happened in yesterday's game. I actually fell asleep, took a nap. I had to get up early and go work the swim meet through my internship, so I was sleeping when this happened. But my brother was very upset, and he gave me a call afterwards and was like, "Oh, did you see that play?" So I went back, got on the MLB app, hopped on, took a look at the play. It's wild, y'all. And if you haven't seen it, I would definitely encourage you to go take a peek. Maybe you were sleeping during the game like I was. But what essentially happens is it's the bottom of the 9th inning, and Houston's at home, so they're up. It's tied 1-1. It was a great game. I saw Verlander pitching a little bit. He just gave up that 1 run. Severino was going for the Yankees, but he had a quick hook. I can't remember if it was him who gave up the, I know Carlos Correa hit the home run. There was some controversy around that too, whether the fan reached over. I don't think he did. And I don't, they reviewed it and they said it was a home run. There was no fan interference. But it was a great pitching match. It was a really great game. As I said, Houston won 2-1 in the bottom of that 9th inning. So what happened was Jose Altuve was at first or second base, and Carlos Correa hit a double. Aroldis Chapman pitching, by the way. We'll come back and touch on that. And Jose Altuve, he's quick. He's stealing bases. He broke some record for like most 30 steal seasons by a second baseman or something with 30 steals. And he's trucking around the bases, and he comes home and he looks like he's going to be out by, a mile. Like, so far he's going to be out. Relay throw, Judge gets it, throws it to the cutoff man, Didi Gregorius at second base. The ball, I've got it right here on my phone. The ball, I'm looking at it. The ball bounces right to Sanchez. Right to him before Jose Altuve is even in the picture. Like, before he's even in the camera shot. He has so much time to pick up that ball and tag Altuve. Like, it's not even funny. Gary Sanchez doesn't make the play. The ball bounces. He somehow doesn't catch it, and Jose Altuve scores on a play that 99% of catchers make. This has been a problem for the Yankees all year, and it has been continuing into the playoffs. Gary Sanchez's defense. Everybody wants to talk about, his bat and how great he is. His defense is terrible. He had, I believe, the most pass balls of any catcher in the league. He has really struggled on the defensive side of the ball. And there was I can't even remember. There was a big series that the Yankees were playing, and Joe Girardi actually put in Austin Romine, who was the Yankees' backup catcher, and had Sanchez. He benched him for a couple of days, I think, and then he had him DH because he was so upset with Sanchez's defense. And this has been a topic that, it's kind of been a conversation, but I really want to harp on it because that's the game. Sanchez doesn't make the play. The game, it's over. He has to make that play. It's laughable how far in front of how much time Sanchez has to make this play. Yankee fans want to complain because they're always complaining about something. Interference at second base on Carlos Correa's part. After the game, I did some research because, like I said, fell asleep, didn't see this. What a game to sleep through, honestly. Yankee fans are saying Carlos Correa interfered at second base when Didi Gregorius tried to make the throw home. Did my research. Joe Girardi, he went out to talk with the umpires after it. After the game, Joe Girardi would go on to say there was no interference. It was a pop-up slide by Correa. I took a look at it, looked fine. Didi Gregorius also after the game said it was his fault. He took the blame. I don't see interference there. The bigger problem for the Yankees, Aroldis Chapman. What did I say before the playoffs even started? The Yankees' strength is going to depend on Dellin Betances and Aroldis Chapman being able to pitch. Joe Girardi doesn't want to go to Dellin Betances at all. I watched him in the DS series. He didn't want to go to Dellin Betances. He was like, no thank you. And then he had to go to him in game 2, and Betances ended up giving up the game-winning run. So, sorry, I got little sniffles here. But Aroldis Chapman has been a big question for the Yankees. Him and Dellin Betances, big questions going into the postseason. How are they going to play? Aroldis Chapman in a 1-1 game. This is what he gets paid that $75 million for? I'll check on the salary once I play some more music. He gets paid the big bucks to come in situations like this in the playoffs and throw that 103 mile an hour fastball, woo, and get the outs. He doesn't get paid to put Jose Altuve on the bases and then give up the game-winning hit to Carlos Correa. And I know everybody wants to say, nobody's perfect, pitchers make mistakes. This is the playoffs. There is no room for mistakes. In a 1-1 game in the bottom of the 9th inning, your ace closer has to be able to close out the game. This isn't some, no-name closer who nobody knows and he's just kind of thrown in there because you got nobody else. This is Aroldis Chapman. This is one, if you want to, get technical with it, this is one of the best closers in baseball. And he can't come in and close out the game. That's a warning flag, number one. Number two, Gary Sanchez not making this play. That's the real storyline here. He has to make the play. There's just no excuse. Like, he has to be able to make this play. And I don't know I honestly don't know why, because I'm just staring at my phone right now, looking at how much room he had between the time Jose Altuve comes in the picture and when the ball gets to him. It's amazing, really. I mean, it's a play you always see major league catchers make. Never mind major league catchers for the Yankees, one of the most storied franchise and one of the best teams ever. Everybody makes this play. And for Gary Sanchez to not make this play in such a big, crucial game, I mean, it's not the DS series where it's, first to 3, it's first to 4, but still, Yankees are going back to New York, down 2 games. Gary Sanchez has to make the play. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, he has to make this play. It wasn't even like it was, like a tricky hop or anything. Like, it was a one bouncer. It was right there. But he's got to be able to make the play. People want to say, oh, TD's got to make a better throw. Being a good catcher you have to make this play. This ball wasn't sailing over his head. It wasn't, like, hopping towards the plate, like, 4 times. Come on. You got to make the play. In big games, your pitcher has to pitch and your catcher has to catch. So, Yankees lost this game. Not necessarily Houston won it, but the Yankees definitely lost it. Yeah. I mean, Sanchez's defense has been problematic all year. And then they had Matt Holliday in there at DH yesterday. I'm not sure how he did. I'll take a peek. Probably not great. He hasn't seen any postseason action. This was his first time in the lineup through the wild card and the DS and now the CS. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like the Yankees in this series, but, all the Yankee fans are going to be like, well, we were down 0-2 to the Cleveland Indians, and we came back and we won. Cleveland did not look good in those last 3 games. The Astros look good. Trust me, I watched them kick the crap out of the Red Sox for 4 games, even when they lost. Astros look really good. They do. They're getting hot at the right time. The starting pitching. I mean, everybody else's starting pitching is like falling apart. Granted, Tanaka had a great game on Thursday, but I mean, Corey Kluber was falling apart. Chris Sale falling apart. Zach Greinke with the Diamondbacks. I think Clayton Kershaw came out in the 5th inning yesterday in that Dodgers Cubs series. John Lester did. Jose Quintana the same. But the Astros starting pitching has been phenomenal, especially Verlander, which I didn't see coming. I thought the Red Sox were going to have their way with Verlander, but proving me wrong. Dallas Keuchel is fire against the Yankees. He was in that wild card game a couple years back in New York when Houston beat the Yankees, and he was on Thursday night as well. So that's going to be a big problem for them if they're going to try and mount a comeback here. They're going to have to face Verlander and Keuchel at least one more time each, maybe 2 if AJ Hinch, the manager of the Astros, kind of gets creative. But the pitching is going to be a real problem for the Yankees. They got CeCe going on tomorrow. Yes, they've got CeCe going tomorrow. Maybe they pick up that game. CeCe's actually, he pitched really well against Cleveland in that game 5 that they had. But is that, CeCe's definitely a little older. He's got the knee problems. Was that just a one-off? Was he just, really focused in for that one game? We will see. I like Houston in this series. We have a pool, me and all of my friends and like my family and random kind of people we've just picked up. And I'm like tied for last place. So my picks have not been going well. My sister, who never watches baseball ever, actually is tied for the lead somehow. So I don't know. It's been a wild series. I wake up sometimes or I'm watching one of these playoff games and I'm like, Cleveland is out. They won 100 games this season and they're out. They got kicked out by the wild card team. I don't know. It's, Yankees, credit to them. They beat Cleveland, beat Minnesota, which, was a given. But they beat Cleveland. I didn't think they were going to, lots of people didn't think they were going to do that. I had Cleveland winning the World Series, so messed up my picks. But credit to the Yankees. I don't think they're going to beat Houston. I really, really think Houston is a better team than the Yankees. And if Houston wins tomorrow night, and I hear any talk about the Yankees coming down from 3-0 and remember don't bring it up. It's if Houston wins tomorrow, the Yankees are done. I really believe it because, like I said, they're going to have to go through Keuchel and Verlander, and I do not see them beating Keuchel and Verlander back to back, and winning 4 games in a row because it's only been done once, folks. You may remember in 2004 there was some history made. Wink, wink. Speaking of that team, we're going to talk about the Red Sox coming up here. But now, give me a call if you want to talk about the Yankees, you want to talk about Houston, you want to talk about that play at the plate, want to talk about anything. Give me a call, 509-335-2207. We're going to jump back into some music here. All right, y'all, we are back on. We are going to talk about the Red Sox now because I love talking about the Red Sox. It's just like my favorite thing to talk about besides the Mariners. Love the Mariners. We're going to do kind of like a broad overview of the Red Sox 2017 season because I feel like it's important and we should talk about what went wrong where. Some of you may know on Monday, the Red Sox were officially eliminated from the playoffs. They lost to the Houston Astros in the DS series, 3-1. It was terrible. They were winning 3-2. Andrew Benintendi hit a 2-run home run off of Justin Verlander. And then John Farrell, manager of the Boston Red Sox, left Chris Sale for 4 innings, gave up a home run, tied the game, and then Craig Kimbrell couldn't come in, finish the job out, gave up 2 more runs. Astros went up 5-3. Rafael Devers, the 20-year-old third baseman who's come up for the Red Sox, he hit an inside the Parker, 5-4. That's what the Red Sox would lose by. Dustin Pedroia ended the game with a ground out to second base. And just like that, the 2017 Red Sox season was over. I wasn't really... It was sad, but... It kind of felt inevitable. Like last year when the Red Sox lost to Cleveland and got swept, I was devastated and cried on the rug in my room for 20 minutes. This year I just turned off the TV and I grabbed my backpack and I went to work. There wasn't the same sadness to it. There wasn't it because it felt inevitable. Like it felt like they were just trying to get the season over with. Like this game was just a formality. They were gonna lose it. I don't. There was no energy. There was none. And I touched upon this last weekend. On last Sunday when the Red Sox were playing, it was their first postseason home game of the year. And 3 hours before game time, they sent out emails to their fans saying, hey, we've still got tickets available. And somebody on Twitter was like, do you guys remember the days when people were lining up days in advance for Red Sox playoff tickets? I mean, when I got that email, I was like, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. Even though the Red Sox they'd go on to win that Sunday. Oh my God. There were still tickets available for a Red Sox playoff game. And non-baseball fans might not think that's a big deal. But that tells you how much faith the Red Sox fans had in this team, that they didn't even want to come out to the ballpark and see their team in an elimination game. They were just like, nah, not gonna go out to the ballpark today. That was shocking to me, and I think it said a lot about the season. So let's start all the way back at the start of this, at the beginning of the season. Rick Porcello pitching against the Pirates got the opening day win, and everyone was so happy because Rick Porcello, the Cy Young Award winner from last year, he's great, and we've got Chris Sale, this new guy, and we've got David Price and Eduardo Rodriguez and the pitching staff. It's so great. Rick Porcello comes in. throughout the season is terrible. Like, he's just bad. He gave up the most hits of anybody. Like any pitcher in baseball, Rick Porcello, number 1 in hits given up. David Price is on the shelf for most of the season, and when he's not, he's arguing with reporters or broadcasters. Chris Sale has a phenomenal first half, and then I don't know what happened the second half in the playoffs. Eduardo Rodriguez needs like a new knee. Doug Fister comes in and tries to save the day, but fails. It just all fell apart, and it was sad because this team was this was a World Series favorite team. You look at the lineup and you say Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi's going to have a full season, and Hanley Ramirez is going to go off again, and all these guys are going to do so great. Jackie Bradley Jr., he's going to have a great year. Dustin Pedroia, Mitch Moreland, bringing in this guy, and he's just going to be great because he was great in spring training. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then you lose in the DS for the second year in a row. It's not so great. Big problem, offense, obviously. Last year, Mookie Betts had an MVP caliber season, and then he comes out this year and he's like, that was probably a one-off. Like, that's not me. And I'm like, oh, great. David Ortiz, he's not playing this year, if you haven't noticed. Hanley Ramirez talks a good game, says, let's get the fans into this. This is going to be great. Hanley Ramirez had 242 this year with just 62 RBIs and 23 home runs. Mookie Betts, 264, 102 RBIs and 24 home runs. And maybe, we have to kind of accept that that's the kind of player he is. And those numbers, I'll take those numbers. Like, there's nothing wrong with those numbers. They're just not last year's numbers. And if this is the player that he is, then this is what we got to accept, and that'll be fine. I'll take that. But it was coming off from that such a great year, finished second in the MVP voting, to come down, I kind of come back to earth, I guess. Disappointing. Andrew Benintendi hit 271 with 90 RBIs and 20 home runs, which, for a rookie, that's great. It's just not what everyone was expecting him to do. And what he did in the beginning of the year, like Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi, they started the year off so strong and they were looking great. And then they just kind of faded. But it's hard to say that, 271 with 90 RBIs and 20 home runs is a bad year, but it's just not what people were expecting, I think. There was big expectations for this team, and everybody just didn't come full circle, I guess. We heard in April and May and June, just wait for this team to get going. There was no getting going. This was the team. Is that going to be different next year? That's a question we'll talk about. Red Sox finished dead last in the AL in home runs. I'm going to throw a stat out at you, and this is probably going to shock a lot of you. Guess the number of grand slams that the Red Sox had this season. I'll give you a minute. 0. They had 0 grand slams all season. The only team in baseball to have no grand slams. I'm sure that's some record, particularly within the Red Sox, their own organization. They had a problem scoring runs all year. So I guess it was kind of fitting that they lost by 1 run, 5-4 in that final game of the DS. Are the Red Sox going to go out and pick up a bat in the offseason? That's a question. We're going to talk about, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what are you going to talk about when the regular season is over, or when the postseason is over? We're going to talk about these questions. We're going to go through team by team and division by division, and we're going to assess the needs of all the teams. We're going to talk about the teams, so it'll be great. So we're going to talk about all these things, Red Sox bats, what they're going to do next year as soon as the postseason is over, and it's going to be great. We're going to talk about all your favorite teams, the Mariners, Yankees. We're going to talk about everybody. We'll even talk about Cincinnati Reds. Hey, we'll talk about any team you want. But going back to the Red Sox, another problem that they had, clubhouse and leadership issues. And obviously they know this because they fired their manager, John Farrell, on, when was it? Tuesday morning, maybe? It was like right after, Tuesday or Wednesday, like right after they lost that series. They were like, John Farrell has been dismissed. Obviously the Red Sox lacked leadership in the clubhouse all year. That was always David Ortiz's role. Like, it was just such an easy leadership figure to follow, and now he's gone, and nobody... I mean, Dustin Pedroia said he stepped up in that role, but, you know, you got... I think he failed to capture that smooth leadership style that Ortiz had, that it was just effortless. And I'm sure it took a lot of effort, and I don't want to diminish that in any role, but it was just easy for him to lead that team. Like, there was no question who that leader was. He didn't have to say it. He didn't have to go out in front of reporters and say, hey, I'm a leader of this team. When he talked, people listen. I'm not so sure that's the same case with Pedroia, because Pedroia had to go out and say, I am the leader of this team. And people were kind of like, okay, well, David Price is out there getting in fights with reporters, and his teammates are cheering him on. So I'm not so sure what that says about the leadership style of Dustin Pedroia, but it wasn't coming from the manager, that's for sure. There was, you know, that leadership. All year they said, it's not a problem. But then you fire your manager after he gets you a World Series ring and 2 Division Series appearances. I think there are clubhouse issues. I think there are leadership issues there. Who are the Red Sox going to bring in? I have no idea. I have heard so many names floated. Jason Varitek, Alex Cora. I mean, who knows? Who knows who they're going to bring in? I've heard it's probably not going to be like a veteran guy with lots of managerial experience. And I agree with that, because I don't think that's who they need. I think they need someone who's going to boost morale, who's going to want to be, you know, like friendly with these guys, who is going to really, you know, have a good sense of leadership. And because there are good players on this team. They know how to play baseball. They don't need someone to sit there and hold their hand. They need guidance. They need leadership, especially you have a lot of young guys on this team. That's who they're looking for. And I think they'll find somebody who fits that profile more than, say, like a John Farrell guy who has a lot of baseball experience. Someone young, someone with a lot of enthusiasm, I think will be great for this team. Because they do have those veterans like Dustin Pedroia and David Price, but they need guidance on the road to successful seasons, I guess. So I think they'll be good. It's going to be an interesting story to follow. We'll be talking about it all year until the Red Sox find somebody. And even then, we're going to talk about it. The whole us against the world thing that the Red Sox kind of had going this season, it made it hard to like defend this team at times. Like when David Price is out here yelling expletives at Hall of Fame broadcasters, like I was like, I can't defend this. Like, this is terrible. And it makes it hard to like the team too, which I think is why the energy was kind of down, because this team all year was hard to defend and hard to like at times. And that was never a problem when you had David Ortiz around, but he's not around anymore. So this team has to figure out a way to inject themselves with energy and leadership, and they need all these kind of things that make a good team good. So that's why the manager role is very important. It's kind of it's not talked about as much, but the leadership on that end, I think, will be very important. The third thing I want to touch on before we jump back into some music is situational hitting for the Red Sox. I've talked about it all year round. My friends have heard it. You guys have heard it. Situational hitting is the most important thing in baseball, and I firmly believe that. If you can't hit with runners in scoring position or when you need a big hit, you're just not going to win ball games. You're not going to win them. You can hit as many home runs as you want, but eventually you run into really good pitching when you are not going to get a home run and you need to get a single or something, or a double down the line. And the Red Sox didn't do that all year. They definitely didn't do it in the playoffs. And that comes back to that no grand slams thing, leaving the bases loaded with nobody out and scoring only one or no runs. That happened so many times. That happened in the playoffs so many times. A lack of situational hitting equals a lack of wins. It's as simple as that. It really is. What does Houston do? They hit with runners in scoring position. They're great at situational hitting. Like when they need a hit, they can scrap one together. They can get some runners on base. The Red Sox, they weren't able to do that all year, and it kills me because that goes back to the lack of offense thing. It all ties together. To be honest, I mean, this was a forgettable season. Like, there was nothing in particular that was especially like memorable. Like maybe when Benny had like set 6 or 7 RBI game in Texas, but it just was a draining season. And I think the Red Sox ran out of energy, the fan base ran out of energy. And I think that has to do with, you know, the leadership and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of that, not to put this all on John Farrell, because obviously this whole forgettable season was not John Farrell's fault. But when you bring in a new manager, when you get get more energy in there, I think it'll be a lot better because you have the guys to do it. You got Mookie Betts. You got Xander Bogaerts had a terrible year, but you got Xander Bogaerts. You've got Andrew Benintendi. You've got Rafael Devers. You got a lot of good young guys who are going to be the future of this franchise. The talent is there. It just needs to be developed, and it needs to be led into the right direction. I do think we are going to see a shakeup with some of the players on this team. I'm not sure if we see Xander Bogaerts again in a Red Sox uniform. I'm not sure if we see JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr., in a Red Sox uniform again. I'm not sure on the contracts and the trading, but those are my two guys who I think the Red Sox are going to be looking to trade this offseason, especially to go get that big bat. I know Bryce Harper's a free agent. I don't think the Red Sox are going to be willing to pay that $500 million contract that Bryce Harper keeps, you know, it's floating around. The name I have heard is John Carlos Stanton, excuse me. But I've also heard that the Yankees are interested in him. And if you don't know, the Marlins were just bought by a group that includes Derek Jeter. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he has some ties to the Yankees. But they're going to go out and get a big bat. And if the cost is Xander Bogaerts and Jackie Bradley Jr. or one of them or a package, because, I mean, Dave Dombrowski has already depleted the farm system, so you're going to have to start trading these guys who are Major League ready. I think that's a cost that the Red Sox are willing to pay. And I think they are able to pay it. I mean, I love Xander. I love Jackie Bradley Jr. But the offense is not there. I mean, Xander had a terrible year, and Jackie had a really bad year too. And it'll break my heart to see them go. But I think at this point, it's what the Red Sox would be willing to do. I don't think they're going to trade Mookie. I don't think they're going to trade Benny or Rafael Devers. I don't think they're going to trade any of those guys. But my two names are Xander Bogaerts and Jackie Bradley Jr. So I'm going to keep an eye on them as the months go by. We've got 6 months or so until we see the Red Sox playing baseball again. I think a lot of things are going to happen this offseason. It's going to be very interesting. Give me a call. Let me know your thoughts on the situation. 509-335-2207. We're going to jump back into some music. Now is the perfect time to call. You're listening to KZUU 90.7 FM Pullman. We are a broadcast service of the ASWSU. The views and opinions of this program do not reflect the views of KZUU Radio, the ASWSU, or Washington State University. All right, we are back, folks. Let's take a recap of those last 4 songs we just played. That was Dare You to Try by Jordan McIntosh, Love Me or Leave Me Alone by Justin Lynch featuring Karen Fairchild, and she sings for the band Little Big Town. All Fall Down by Russell Dickerson. He just released his first album on Friday, yes. Love that song. That's All Fall Down. It's a great album. We've already played lots of songs from it. We will be playing more songs from it in the coming weeks. So if you like Russell Dickerson, keep listening to the show and also check out his EP. It's Yours. And then that last song, that was actually a request from my sister Amanda, and I really like that song. That was Ryan Kinder, Still Believe in Crazy Love. Yeah, that was a great 4 songs there. I really like those. So now we're going to switch gears. We are going to talk about the other championship series that is happening in baseball right now. It is the National League Championship Series, since we've already talked the American League one today. National League Championship Series is taking place between the Dodgers and the Cubs. They played the first game last night. They will be playing the second game tonight, I believe. Let me check on the time for you there. They might be playing it already. It's in LA, so it's Pacific time, so it actually lines up with us. They'll be playing at 4:30 tonight. The last night it was Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers versus Jose Quintana of the Cubs. And tonight it is Rich Hill going for the Dodgers and Jon Lester going for the Cubs. I do get sad every time I think about Jon Lester because he played for the Red Sox for a long time and he was really great for the Red Sox. And then they traded him to Oakland for Yoenis Cespedes, and then they tried to get him back in the offseason, but he chose to go to the Cubs, and he won a World Series with them, and he's pitching really well for them. And it's just sad because I miss him a lot. And we could really use a good postseason pitcher. Could have used him in that series against the Astros, but it is what it is. Jon Lester going against Rich Hill tonight should be a good game. There was controversy in last night's game. I was watching it also while doing some baking. The Cubs and the Dodgers were playing in LA. It was a really close game. It was tied 2-2 for a while. And then the Dodgers, I believe they scored 3 runs all in one inning. They won by a final score of 5-2. But, it was 3-2, and then they scored 2 more runs in a different inning, I believe. But there was a play at the plate that scored a run. Initially, the Dodgers runner was called out, and they went on the headsets, and they reviewed it in New York, and it was determined that the Cubs catcher was blocking the plate, which, as you know, they instituted a rule a couple years back where you cannot, as a catcher, you cannot block the plate until you have the ball. And if you do, the runner is automatically called safe because the runner has to have an open lane to the plate. So it was determined that the Cubs catcher was blocking the plate. The Dodgers runner was called safe. The Dodgers got a run. Cubs manager Joe Maddon came out. If you argue a play that's been recalled, replayed, you are automatically thrown out of the game. Joe Maddon was thrown out of the game. I think he had legitimate anger though, because I took a look at the play. I was watching this game. I didn't fall asleep during this game. I didn't think that the Cubs catcher was blocking the plate there. I do think the Dodgers runner had a clear lane there. This is a rule that has caused a lot of controversy. A lot of people don't like this rule. A lot of people also don't like the rule where it's second base now. If you're trying to break up a double play as a runner, you cannot take out the second baseman or the shortstop, whoever's on second, the defenseman. You cannot take him out because Chase Utley did that to Ruben Tejada in Mets Dodgers playoff series a couple years back. And Ruben Tejada broke his leg, actually. So they made it a rule. You have to slide within certain distance to the bag. You have to, slide so you're not trying to make contact with him. And a lot of people don't like that rule. A lot of people don't like this rule where you can't take out the catcher anymore. You can't, and then therefore the catcher has to give the runner a lane. A lot of people don't like it. I like both the rules, and I'll tell you why. Because safety is so important. Critical injuries. Look at Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. What are the Packers going to do for the rest of the season now that their MVP quarterback is out because of an injury? It's the same thing with baseball. You have to protect the players because baseball is better when your players are healthy and your team is better, and therefore baseball is better because they're more competitive teams. And just like the moral aspect of it, like not putting these guys in unsafe situations. A lot of people say, well, catchers sign up for that, and catchers have to expect that, and that's how the game's been played. That's how the game has been played argument is outdated and no one should use that argument anymore. But that's not to say that there can't be some refinement with these rules, because I think player safety should be number one, but I also think that in big games like this, There has to be clear and concise ruling, and there is not clear and concise rules. That's another thing that bothers a lot of people. It's a very ambiguous rule. And I said that word wrong. Ambiguous, an ambiguous rule. There we go. It should be refined, and it should be cleared up more, and people should know the exact rule, because especially in big games like this. I mean, this is such an important game. This is game one. You want to get off on the right foot. You want to win this game. And that's a big run. It takes it from a 2-run game to a 3-run game. And that, in my opinion, is like the biggest difference when you're talking about 1-run situations. When it's a 2-run game, it's called a bloop and a blast. You get you a tie. Bloop hit, and then you hit a home run. With a 3-run game, you have to get, you got to get 2 runners on, and that's a lot harder, and then you have to hit a home run. But I think it would have been different, and it would have been more, we would be talking about this a lot more if the Cubs had come back and it was like a 5-4 game, or it was closer than the 5-2 game that it was. I think guys in New York got it wrong. But as I said, it was a 5-2 game, so it didn't matter in the end, even though, it took it from a 2-run game to a 3-run game. I think, both the second base rule and the catcher rule, and a lot of people are saying they should be looked at, they should be refined there. And I think that is important, but I do think they're good rules at their cores. I think they're necessary rules. I think they're really important rules, because you want to protect the catchers. And people say, oh, the catcher, this is what they signed up for. Catcher's the most physical position, and you're going to get hurt. You should still protect them. Like, you still have, I feel people, they have a moral obligation to like protect the players. And maybe that's just my newfangled way of thinking. But second base, everybody should be, protected equally on the diamond. The game 2 going tonight. Cubs are going to try and get the win. John Lester on the mound. I think they have a really good shot. Game 2, I'll be watching 4:30. If you wanna call in and talk about this situation, you want to talk about anything we've discussed in the show, request a song, anything, because I do play music on the show besides just talking about baseball. 509-335-2207. I'm going to be on for about 40 more minutes, so you've got some time to call in. We're gonna talk about more baseball coming up after this music break. Is it a break, or is it just like, I'm always confused on how to phrase that. So after this great music, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about baseball. Here we go. You guys know what that sound means. We have a call. So today's caller is, you guessed it, Zach. He is always so generous with his time and is always willing to call in. Zach, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Zach. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay.
Yeah.
You sound great.
Well, I'm just watching some football here on a Sunday afternoon, so yeah.
Right. So you want to talk about the Yankees, I understand, because you're a big Yankees fan. So last night's game, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think there was interference at second base?
Yeah, I do. Because Gregorius could not, you can't get a full range of motion when someone is standing right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And Correa, I don't even know what he was doing. It was pop-up
Hey,
slide,
watch the language, please. Watch the language.
Okay, I apologize. But if you're sliding into second base, why are you pop-up sliding into second base when the throw's coming to home if you're not interfering with the cutoff man?
So I don't know if you saw, but after the game, Joe Girardi and both Didi Gregorius did say that there wasn't any interference on the play. Didi took full responsibility for it. So I guess it's just a matter of opinion. It comes down to it. But the Yankees, what is not a matter of opinion is that the Yankees are down 0-2 and they're heading back to New York tomorrow. How do you think they're going to do in tomorrow's game?
Well, guess what? The Yankees were down 0-2 to the Cleveland Indians, who had a 23-game win streak.
Oh my God.
And everybody thought they were just going to get swept out of Cleveland and go home and eat ice cream while they watch the World Series on their couches. But we're still here, so I'm not worried at all that the Yankees are down 0-2, and we've played extremely competitive baseball against a really good team.
But you've lost both games.
Yes, but it's not like we got blown out 8-2 in our first two games and are down 0-2. We lost 2-1 twice.
In order to come back and win, you'd have to beat Verlander and Keuchel again. Do you think you can do that?
We don't have to beat both of them again. We only have to beat one of them because it's a 7-game series.
So right now, you're saying that the Yankees are going to win the next 4 games?
No, I'm saying it's a 7-game series,
right.
So the Yankees will win 4 out of 7 games.
I think Keuchel and Verlander will both pitch again in this series.
Okay.
So
I didn't say that they didn't.
What?
I didn't say that they wouldn't.
So,
I'm just saying that we only have to beat one of them to win the series, and you said that we had to beat both of them.
Okay. I think it comes down to how A.J. Hinch structures the rotation he's got there.
Yes, of course. But saying that the Yankees had to win out against Cleveland, and they don't have to win out in this case.
Right. I think tomorrow night's game is going to be obviously very important that the Yankees win. As you know, there is only one team who has ever come back from being down 0-3. That was the Red Sox against the Yankees in 2004.
Yes.
So obviously tomorrow's game is very important for the Yankees. You think they're going to win? Do you think you have faith in CC Sabathia?
Yes, I do, because against a very stout Cleveland lineup with Edwin Encarnacion back in the lineup, he was out for games 2 and 3, not 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and came back in game 5. So the Cleveland lineup was complete, and they had all their number 1 starters in there, and CC struck out 9 in 4 1/3. And so he was just completely dominant in that outing, and I would expect the same against Houston.
So in his first outing there, he had against Cleveland, he was cruising, and then he kind of hit a wall, and he gave up 4 like really hard hit balls in a row. So we've seen him kind of hit that wall. He is old. He's old. There's lots of questions about his weight. He's had knee problems in the past. Do you think it's possible that his showing in the 5th game of the DS, do you think that was just a one-time thing and he's going to hit that wall again in tomorrow's game, or do you just have no worries about him at all?
I'm not worried because you might want to get a fact check, because you said that the 4 balls that Cleveland hit were very hard hit, and 3 of the 4 balls, they were sawed off to the opposite field because the hitters got jammed. So I wouldn't say
I'm not sure about that.
I
think
hard hit balls.
I was listening to John Sterling call it, and he said they were all hard hit balls.
Okay. Well, maybe one of them was hard hit, but the others were not. They were both the RBIs were he came in on them with a fastball, and they fought it off to right field for singles.
Not sure about that, but
okay.
We'll let that
go. I was watching the game.
Okay. So. He still gave up 4 hits, and he still hit that wall, and it was obvious he was running out of gas there. So you're telling me you have complete faith in CC Sabathia that he's going to be able to get it done tomorrow night?
Yes, because he was still making good pitches. He wasn't throwing them right down the middle of the plate and getting freaking blasted. He didn't give up a 3-run jack. No, he jammed several hitters, and they got lucky and got singles to right field.
Okay. All right. I do have questions about CC Sabathia there. I think kind of, putting all of this kind of, pressure on him. I mean, it's better than putting the pressure on Severino, but I mean, this is a big game. And I think, how many innings did Severino go yesterday?
I believe he went 4 1/3 or 4 2/3.
4
But
1/3.
he left because he had some shoulder tightness, but he's been cleared. He's fine. So the Yankees just wanted to be careful with him because they knew they had their great bullpen behind him. So they didn't want to take any chances.
Right. All right. Well, a lot of questions here for the Yankees. They are down 0-2. Zach has complete faith in the Yankees. I've got some questions there for him. Zach, how many games do you think the Yankees are going to win this series in?
I think they're going to win it in 7.
In 7. Okay. So who's pitching Game 7 for you?
Okay, so we got CC going tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Or not tonight. I'm sorry.
Tomorrow. So that's Game 3.
Tomorrow. So in Game 3, and then sorry, and then Sonny Gray going in Game 5.
Game 4.
Game 4. And then whoever Joe wants to throw out there. I mean, you have Tanaka or Severino, because the game's on Wednesday, and Severino pitched yesterday, so you could conceivably throw them out there if they are in a situation where they really need to win because he was so dominant. And then you have Tanaka. So
it'd be CC again on Game 7.
Yeah, so it would be CC in a big game situation where he had success with Cleveland when he was with them. He had success with Milwaukee. He practically carried Milwaukee through.
That was a lot of years ago, though, Zach. I mean, he's not the same pitcher he was.
Okay, no, but I'm saying he won't be rattled by the situation. I'm not saying he has the same velocity. He's not throwing 96 anymore.
Obviously.
But he has that big game experience where he's not going to get rattled.
Okay.
And, so, and you saw it in Game 5. Corey Kluber
Kluber was off that whole series, though. So I think.
Yes. He seemed a little rattled by the situation and his mechanics. He couldn't get his mechanics right. And
I think if they throw, if the Astros throw Verlander out there against you, Verlander is a veteran, and he's not going to be rattled by the situation either, and he's had really good postseason success. So I think the Yankees have to get there first in order to, put up all these possible scenarios. But I do think it's interesting, and I'll be watching. I'm not going to – I napped yesterday, and I fell asleep during the game yesterday. But I'm going to stay awake for the rest of these games because they're very interesting. I think the Yankees have a lot of options there. I think Houston's got a lot of options there. It'll be a good series. Zach, thank you very much for joining me.
I would actually like to say one more thing.
Of course. Go ahead.
So Verlander is obviously an experienced pitcher,
right?
But we have held them with our pitching, and we've only given up 4 runs in the 2 games. And
we've only scored 2 runs in the 2 games.
But if not for a controversial call on a home run in right field, then it would have been a 1-0 game going into the 9th, and it would have been a completely different scenario. And who's to say that they get the walk off with Correa?
Well, you know what, Zach? I don't think Yankee fans should be talking about fan interference on controversial home runs. So if you want to, we can talk about Jeffrey Mayer and the Orioles and all of that. So this is if you want to say it was fan interference.
I'm just saying there was several controversial calls yesterday.
Okay.
And Gary Sanchez not picking the play obviously contributed too, but I just wanted to put it out there that definitely the home run, obviously, because it's a run, it contributes to the overall outcome of the game, and it was a controversial call to say the least.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me. It will be interesting to see how the Yankees do with the rest of the series. Have a good rest of your day, Zach.
Oh, yeah.
All right. That's Zach for you. I do want to apologize again for the language. I know sometimes when things are getting heated and people are passionate, things just kind of slip out there. We are going to jump back into some music here. We've got about 10 more minutes on the show. If you got a song request, you want to talk about anything, 509-335-2207.